Hey, welcome to the Blackout Test podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
And we're live on a Sunday morning, ready to get started. We, of course, appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We respect y'all. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to leave us 5-star reviews everywhere that you can on Apple Podcasts, because it really makes our spirits float, and we read them and we on our feedback show, and we let the people know, hey, thank you for letting us feel appreciated. Of course, in the show notes, how you get in contact with the show is got our link to our Crowdcast, so you can come be part of the live podcast every day and play games with us, leave comments in the chat, get to know your fellow fans of the show. You can also do stuff like become a premium member. You can go buy our merch. There's always new options for merch. We have the new sweaters logo in the for the iconic sweater pic that we took when we were in high school. So we have all this stuff. We would love for y'all to
that damn Sears pic
to get in there. And of course, the official weapon of the show is
phone chair,
and the unofficial sport.
But I don't know why I have to think about that.
It's all good. Think
because I've been wanting to say taser.
Think twice, cut once. That's what they always say.
Yep.
And this is a special episode because we have a guest. Okay, you may know this man from his podcast, Medium Popcorn. You may know him from his podcast, Drunk Black History. You may know him from the Drunk Black History live events. I've been part of one in person. We've been part of one remote.
That's right.
And he's a comedian, a writer, just overall good dude. It's my man Brandon Collins. What's going on, bro?
Good morning. How y'all doing, my king and my queen? How are you doing this Sunday?
You too, my
Sunday
king.
Morning.
We love to see it, man.
Good, baby.
I'm glad you're doing well, man. I like that shirt.
I like your shirt. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, there's so many shirts you've worn, Rod. Like, even just as a fan that I've seen from afar, that I'm like, God damn, like I want to get that, but I also don't want anybody to be like, did you copy Rod? Like, Baby Billy's Bible Bonkers. Like my mentor worked with them. Like, he works with that team. They're like Righteous Gemstones, Eastbound and Down.
Oh, word!
And he was like 10 minutes late for our first meeting. I was like, yo, anyone that like puts Baby Billy or like Kenny Powers in my life, like you get to be as late as you want to be. But we saw him at Walton Goggins at South by Southwest for like this Fallout event.
Cool.
Yeah, he was exactly like Walton Goggins, yo. He was like walking. I was like, yo.
I saw a meme the other day that was just a picture of Walton Goggins, and the caption over it was, when that baby was born, they knew that was a Walton Goggins. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, but that makes sense somehow. It's like he is just a Walton Goggins. You see that man, you go, that's a Walton Goggins right there.
One of my favorite comedic moments, probably the past like 15 years on TV, is on Righteous Gemstones, where they had the DMX hologram, and it's like going in and out between the mom and shit, and everyone's freaking out. And like John Goodman destroys it, and then Walter Goggins as Baby Billy's like, it's a loader. Like,
yeah, listen, I love Walton Goggins. When they found him in playing opposite of the dude that plays Kenny Powers.
Them two are like the best together.
Like,
I the best chemistry.
I love Vice Principals as well, because it's really just
it's so dark though.
It's so dark, but it's spy
really
versus spy of them two, and you just know, like, I know, a lot of that's written, but you just know so much of that is in the performance, and two, they got to be doing unscripted shit to each other just to fuck with each other. And like, seeing two people that good go off each other is just, I'll watch that no matter how dark it gets.
Have you ever seen Will Ferrell with Danny McBride and Craig Robinson as Ashley Schaefer, just like going for 10 straight minutes, just trying to make them break, and he just says the wildest. Yeah, he's just saying wild shit constantly.
That's one of my favorite things in all of acting and stuff is, and even as like a writer, I love that stuff more than even sometimes what's written, where it's just like an actor that gets the character, understands the moment, knows to go off script a little bit, and then is able to break other people with it. I'm like, you were in your bag that day.
Yeah. I won't say what the scene like involves and stuff, but I've been doing a lot of like background work and stuff like that lately, just to keep the lights on. It's no writing gigs right now, but I was on set with the great Forrest Whitaker and Vince D'Onofrio. Y'all could probably figure out what show this is.
Yeah.
And I was like right next to them because that's like when my role required me to be right next to them. And I'm hearing them get direction from the director, and I'm hearing them work out stuff and constantly doing different takes. And I'm like, I get to see masters at work right now. Like this is like yeah. When I was younger, I wanted to be an actor. That's kind of like falling by the wayside. I prefer like producing, directing, and writing. But seeing that and stuff, I was like, that's why they are fantastic with what they do, because they're in the zone. They're trying out different things, different cadences and stuff. It was dope, man. It was
people that can do it. People that can do it with drama are just they amaze me. Like, and comedians, like, doing it with funny to me is like super duper hard. I think funny is the most underrated thing in the world, because it's just everyone thinks they're it, and so few people are. And especially on the fly, it's just really fucking hard. But being funny is one thing, but when people can pull into that dramatic bag of like, I can do a different take this way, and you're like, how did you even fucking see that that's a possibility? And then we're able to pull it off, with your face and you're acting like, that's really dope.
Hey, baby, didn't whatchamacallit do the thing we joke about on Ball D Sports? Was I don't give a fuck about athletic
that's
sports.
Yeah, that's from Vice Principal. I mean, I have so many because
we always joke about that, because our sports show is everything but sports.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck about athletics. Fuck sport.
Yeah, that's Walton Goggins.
It's like media popcorn sometimes. Sometimes we don't even talk about the movie. We just talk about apple pies and fantasy, romantic getaways and shit. It's weird.
Now, you of course have Drunk Black History. It's about that time. Juneteenth is coming up. You're about to do another live show?
That's right. In Brooklyn, New York, Littlefield, on Wednesday, June 19th. It's going to be at 7 p.m. So it's early enough where you can have some fun, get home in time to go to work. You shouldn't have to work the next day, but just in case you do. And we got sponsors this time. We got Aquiano Rum, we got Sorrel Liqueur, and we got Liars non-alcoholic spirits for those of you that don't drink but still want to come out, have a fun time. It's going to be dope as hell. We got an incredible cast. Yeah. And I'm just excited for it. It's going to be a lot of fun, trying to confirm a musical act because it's Black Music Month as well. So, come out, drunkblackhistory.com for tickets and everything. And you can also listen to the podcast and watch past shows if you're kind of curious about what it's going to be, so you get a better idea of that.
Now, do you already know who your lineup's going to be, presenters and stuff, or are you just kind of still working on that?
Yeah, it's going to be guest co-hosted by Electra Telesford, who done Netflix is Funny or whatever that festival was.
Netflix is a joke.
Netflix is a joke. Thank you. And then you got King Woods, who's a regular at the Comedy Cellar, and Jackie Summers, who actually is the founder of Sorrel Liqueur and was the first Black man to get alcohol licensure, to distribute, to manufacture liquor in the United States since Prohibition. So I'm going to have him on to talk about his history. And then I got a few surprises up my sleeve that I'm not going to talk about, but it's going to be a lot of fun. If you've been to a past event, just think about it's going to be more or less the same format, but even bigger because we have the sponsors. So we're going to have mad drinks.
Well, let me say this. It is always a fun time. I've never had a bad experience at a Drunk Black History event. It's all, the official one. It's always been well organized. It's always educational. It's fun. The audience is fun. If you can go in person, I highly recommend you go in person. Do y'all have virtual tickets this time, or is it all in person?
We're working to set up a live stream. So, just hit me up at Frodo_Blackens if you want that link. I'll be posting it starting this week once we get it up and live and everything like that.
Okay, absolutely. So if you watch it also live stream, is also still worth it. Yes, the chat room and everybody in the Zoom they're hella fun. Tatiana is normally monitoring that Zoom, and then she makes sure that the funny stuff that happens there, she relays it in real time to the audience. It's just such a well-run event, and I really this is implore you, if you're listening, go ahead and spend that time there hanging out, because it's a great way to spend Juneteenth. And if you're at home, play drinking games at home. You know, get you a little something, something.
I
sip on it. You ain't got to worry about driving. You already in your crib.
Exactly.
It's a perfect night. All right, so also can't talk about this without talking. Last time you were here, we were talking about Drunk Black History.
Yes.
And there was like, you know, Gordon Baker Bone used to be like your partner in crime on this.
Yep.
Then there was like a weird thing where like you were doing the Drunk Black History, then he was doing the Drunk Black History. People were getting confused on like which is which, and then you kind of cleared up the air with like that's not me. I don't have anything to do with that. But then I think like it seemed like y'all have maybe resolved it, and he wasn't gonna.
I thought we had, and he wasn't gonna do it. And then you know, he texted me out of nowhere, letting me know that he's doing some type of different show that Wednesday for Juneteenth, and then doing the Drunk Black History show in Newark. And he's just calling it Drunk Black History Show. I've also since found that he basically stole the whole format that I came up with for the show, with like the projections, the whole setup and everything. So I don't know what's going on out there in Jersey, because a lot of Jersey comics are like kind of fucking with it. Right. I've since done some podcast appearances where I talked to comedians who were like, "Yo, what is Gordon doing? Like, it's not a good look for him. Like, I don't know why he keeps doing this, because people know." Because I booked all these people, they know that I'm the one that like organizes everything. So like, it's kind of weird, but I don't know. Like, this is how little they care, though, folks. And if you're wanting like know, like, oh, should I go to the New York one or should I go to the Newark one? Like, I feel conflicted or whatever. Just know that, you know, if you talk to any comedians that have done Drunk Black History, they'll tell you who the point of contact was. They'll tell you who the person was that organized everything, who told them what's going to happen, all that stuff. Gordon is just literally a co-host, but if you look at the care that's put into the show, I'm talking about like marketing, I'm talking about putting out, organizing things, getting sponsors, that's all me. And just because he copies and pastes my event listings and stuff doesn't mean that's going to be just as good. And to make things even more obvious, if you go to drunkblackhistoryshow.com, which is the name of Gordon's show, it just goes to my website. So that's how little foresight he had into actually like what it takes to put things together and actually like formulate a brand. Because that was the biggest thing, is like you're fucking up the brand. Like it's like what is an American Gangster when Cuba Gooding was just saying, calling it Blue Magic too. It's like it's not the same thing. Change the damn name.
Right. It's like it's Blue Magic. I certify that shit. You know, he went off. And you said copy and paste. So you mean literally copy and pasting the work and the descriptions you put in for Drunk Black History events in the past, and just putting that on a new page for him?
If you go to their Eventbrite for drunkblackhistoryshow.com, the log line is straight up copied from my own event listing. They just changed the names to Ariel Leady and Gordon Baker Bone. That's all they did.
Holy shit, dog.
There's no description of the actual event. It's just one sentence that they copy and pasted. And before that, the show that they were doing at Williamsburg Comedy Club had copy and pasted verbatim, like my whole description. They just had changed the names. So Gordon was like, I'll fix that, but then he never fixed the Eventbrite. So he's the shadiest dude I've ever had to do business with. I'm so glad I'm no longer in business with him. And it's really like soured me on a few friendships I've had, because people are like trying to be like, oh, you know, that's just Gordon and stuff like that. I'm like, we're grown ass men. Like this shouldn't be that shouldn't be the vibe. So I've actually had to step back from a few friendships, or like put them like on pause for now, just because I'm not comfortable with that. And I feel like people are trying to play both sides of them, but I'm also realizing how some people like only reach out to me when they feel like there's opportunities there. And so I'm like, you know what? If that's how you want to navigate this, then we don't really need to be friends or associated right now.
Yeah, comedy is already tough because it's very transactional for a lot of people, and it's very like tough because, you know, you have friendships, but then it's kind of every man for himself. It kind of feels competitive for people. You know, that's why every time something good happens to somebody, the first question is like, how'd you get that? You know, because it's like it's a competition, even when you don't want to acknowledge it's a competition. Right. But when you do find people that you can work with that seem to be of the same mindset, it's so rare, but it's like it can be fulfilling. It can take everyone to the next level. Everyone's having a good time. You know, that's why you see certain like people in the industry, they came up together and they found their like 3 to 5 people, and they're, you know, we were just talking about Danny McBride. Danny McBride's just always working with the same kind of group of people, because it's like, cool, I found my folks that I can trust and we fuck with each other. but also like even with it being transactional, even with it being mercenary, whenever those relationships implode like that, or you feel a betrayal like that, I mean, it shit still hurts because it's kind of like quasi. Yeah. It's friendship too. It's like it's not just a business. It's not like if you worked at an office in a cubicle and it's like this nigga in this other cubicle did some foul shit. You're like, man, we at work. Fuck that guy. This is like you've been in my house. You know what I mean?
I told Gordon, I was straight up when it all went down. I told him, one of the reasons why this is such a hard conversation for me is because this is triggering like one of my biggest fears in regards to like relationships, like because of stuff that happened, like when I was in high school with my mom, like where I pretty much like found out I couldn't trust the one person that's supposed to protect me and like all these things. So when you go through something like that, you're like very skeptical, like I can trust anybody. So when I really work closely with you and I try to like build something with you, that's important to me. And one of my biggest fears of always collaborating with someone has been them screwing me over. So I used to tell Mike Brown all the time, like for Comedy Outliers, I was like, man, I've had nightmares where you didn't show up for a show. I've had to do everything myself. Obviously that never happened, but it could. And with Gordon, it was my biggest fear was that he was going to do the show without me in some capacity because he thought he could. Because he kind of already had done something like that at some beer fest where I saw like one of the panels was called Drunk Black History, and it was Gordon. I was just like, what is this? He was like, oh, don't worry about it. It's just a name, blah, blah, blah. And so I trusted him, but I was also like, that's not a great sign. And then a year later, what happened with the whole Boston thing. So it's just, it's unfortunate when you learn that you can't trust people in the Black comedic circle, especially in New York, is so small. Like the network is so small. And so it's just unfortunate. But at the same time, like I've been flourishing without him. Like the show's doing way better. Like I got featured in a Time Out in New York. The show's gotten sponsors now. I'm talking to venues in various cities out west. So it's going to do its thing, and plus side for me is I have a bunch of other ideas. I got a one-man show I'm working on for next month. Writing a bunch of stuff. Like, so, this isn't all I have, what I
mean? And for me on the outside looking in, I do understand, because once you build this relationship, you make yourself very vulnerable, and people don't understand that type of, relationship. And it's also, one of the things where you have more of a visionary, like people who have like visions and can almost see further down the road, and you plan stuff, and you're very organized and very detailed about what you do. It's like you don't want people around you that aren't working at the same level as you are and working as hard as you are. And people, I'm not, and this is not to talk bad about people. Some people don't have the work ethic and they don't understand what it really takes to do those things. They just want to show up and be the talent. That's great. Well, guess what? The talent don't get producer credit. The talent don't get the credit for that shit. The talent just be the talent, do your shit, and then you go about your business because you didn't really do the work that it takes to do it. And also, me and Roderick have realized this too. No matter how much somebody can imitate something, if it's not you, it's not going to hit the same. Like the audience is going to know, comedians are going to know, like people are going to know your handprint wasn't on it. So they go, why would I fuck with that? And on top of that, there's no longevity for that because it's going to take a few times of somebody getting burnt before people go, oh, I don't want to fuck with him no more. I'm just keeping it real. And eventually it get to the point where he's going to run that well dry, where he's going to have to drop it because he's going to realize it's not beneficial to him anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's what was happening on, all our promo podcasts. I was organizing that for us. I mean, he would do like one or two on the side. But like if I had like a podcast like this, or like, we did For All Nerds, and he would show up late, he would show up with terrible audio. Like, I'm like, bro, like this is my connect. Like you're fucking that up. And he already had a history of doing that. Like when I worked at WeWork, we used to record these little videos. And we used the office space there. And one time he got so drunk, he started just screaming and shouting up and down the hallways. I'm like, bro, you about to get me fired. Like we had a huge fight about that. And it's like things like that where he forgets that it's always been me, not only having to produce the show, but also manage Gordon. And like I said, we're grown ass men. Like I don't need to be managing adults no more. Like, and I got to focus on me and my family and making sure we good.
you know, last time you were on, I brought this up, but it's about appreciation because like with our show, I do a lot of the organizing, tech work, all that stuff, but Karen appreciates the work that I put in. So I never feel like I'm being taken for granted. You know, there's no like, oh, okay, well, Karen thinks all this shit is bullshit that I'm doing. And then she just shows up and gets on the mic and is like, anyone can do it. Nah, she's like, no, this is tough. I get it. Hey, here's an idea I have. Do you think is this a thing we can execute? Is
it
you know,
feasible?
What are the downsides to it? What are the upsides to it? You know,
shit that I don't think of. You're like, and because I understand the person is kind of just showing up, quote unquote, but I understand, like, I don't know the logistics.
Well, it's a partnership, and I think ego is a motherfucker, especially for comedy.
Yes.
Because some motherfuckers start getting in their head and being like, you know, who built this? Me. That's who, you know, like, you know, it starts where it's like, I'm on the stage, they laughing at my jokes. And you're like, well, a lot of shit has to happen.
Yes, it does.
Like, I'm not saying they're not laughing at your jokes, but a lot of stuff has to happen for them to be laughing at your jokes. Someone got to take care of the venue. Someone got to get the drink special. Someone got to make sure everyone's on time. Someone has
do the
to
marketing. I spend hours just sitting doing virtual ads. So much so that if you Google Jump Like History New Jersey, my show's going to come up because I did so many ads in Jersey. It is just, and I don't need like accolades. I don't need people to be like, Brandon, you did a great job, because actually that makes me very uncomfortable. I'm terrible at getting praise, right? But it's more like you said, it's the respect. It's like, you know, I said to Gordon, I was like, you do not respect obviously what I do for the show, because you wouldn't have booked another show if you have been honest with yourself about, here's what I actually do building up to the show and day of, and here's what Brandon does. If you just made that list, you would be like, oh, why the fuck am I doing this without talking to Brandon at all?
And that's what I mean. It's an appreciation, because I don't need my ass kissed, right? I just need, as long as you appreciate the work, just because the other thing is I'm appreciative, right? Like if you're helping host the show, I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, I appreciate you. You're doing a good job. I don't want, my goal is not to have to do this without you. You know, I'm not like doing the show every day plotting on your ass like, oh, wait till I get them out. Like, I'm thinking we both appreciate each other, but yeah, when it's only one side, and I'm sure, like, just knowing you over the years and stuff, I'm sure that like on a personal level, it's very triggering, because I know, you know, you've been open about like the insecurities you've had during stand-up and all this shit, and then just the way you know, the childhood and all this shit. It's like a motherfucker, it just triggers the worst fears of like, hey, wait a minute, am I walking around and nobody respects me? What the fuck is happening over here? You know? Yeah,
my Midwest upbringing by crazy Black Republicans. I mean, I love my grandparents to death, but they were fucking nuts. Just did not prepare me for unprofessional, crazy niggas from Newark. Just like nothing in life could prepare you for that. But you know, I feel bad, because I feel like this is the second time I've come on, and like we've had to like talk about this and stuff. And I'm incredibly grateful, and I'm incredibly blessed, like, for the opportunities I have. I mean, for this to be like the biggest stressor in my professional life right now, like, obviously I'm in between jobs and stuff like that, but that's not that bad. You know what I mean? Like, this past week,
and I mean, this last, you know, allow me to say, the last couple of years, I've watched you blossom. You know, I've watched you kind of more step. I feel like the Brandon we're talking to now has more confidence,
it's more bolder,
understands like what areas you excel in, and understands a little bit more what you want to do, you know.
Yes, for sure.
And I think in the past, like, at least, you know, my 3,000 mile away view, I've always felt like the co-host thing was more of a crutch. Like, it's not something you need, but it's a luxury. Like, if you want to have a co-host and another person to come up there and feed off of, dope. But you're totally capable of doing that shit on your own if you wanted to.
I've always thought that.
Well, so have you been talking to my therapist, Alan? That's exactly what he be telling me and shit. I'm like, he's like, you don't need to have a co-host, but you do it as a safety blanket. And I'm like, shut up, Alan. You've been talking to Ryan.
I'm a bit of an empath. But like, I feel like that's and you know, and it's not like a bad thing either. I'm very much the same way. I wouldn't want to do a podcast by myself. I listen to people that do the solo shows, and it's cute and everything, but it's not for me. I need a person in the room to let me know if I'm cooking or not. But the point being, like, I feel like I watched you from afar, like really blossom in and like learn about yourself and develop, and it's been like a wonderful thing to watch. And it sucks to go through growing pains. It sucks to do that, but then also you learn something about yourself when you go through something a little bit like this. So a long time ago when we started our podcast, I remember we were #1 show on Podomatic, our host at the time. We had done all this work, you know, we were like fucking killing it as a black podcast. There weren't very many black podcasts at the time period. And I remember there was a show that came up, and I won't say the name because I'm actually low-key embarrassed by my reaction, but these niggas stole the format of our show to the fucking like to the music in the background, like it was just like, I was like, what the fuck kind of shit is this? Like, it's not like there's 12 shows that sound like ours and you just happen. No, we're the show that sounds like this. And I remember doing the episode, and I don't think I said the name of the show, but they had even named the name of their podcast was the name of one of our episodes of our show. Like, so I'm just like, how is that? What a coincidence, right? And the only reason I didn't say the name is because I wasn't sure if it was a coincidence or not. And I didn't want to just flat out be like, fuck these niggas over here. But I was like giving every clue around it, right? And then I remember, because this is early in our journey, but like, I don't know, like not too long after that, I kept thinking about it. I was like, well, I've listened to their show. Anyone else that listens to the show, it's not like they're going to confuse it to like, oh, that's the same as Rod and Karen. No, they're just going to be like, oh, this is a show that sounds similar or wants to sound like it, but the topics we talk about won't be talked about the same. The jokes we make won't be the same as theirs. The relationship me and Karen have won't be the same as theirs. And I felt, like I said, low-key kind of embarrassed because I was like, oh, that was my insecurity jumping out. Because it's like, you know, if Michael Jordan sees Kobe shoot a fadeaway, he shouldn't like run on the court and be like, you motherfucker, you're supposed to be like, oh, okay, you must think I'm pretty dope to try to steal my moves. So yeah, I feel like that's a confidence thing.
Yeah, it's okay to let yourself still have those feelings though, as long as you recognize it, and then you're like, okay, calm down. Because I have that all the time. Like whenever I see Drunk Black History Show, like I have that same thing, like, oh, motherfucker, but I'm like, you know what? At this point, people know the difference. You haven't gotten an email at all. You've said, because I have an email list of thousands of people, right? And it's like, I haven't gotten an email from anyone that's gone to Drunk Black History, like, hey, what happened to Gordon? Or where's Gordon? Right. It's okay, Brandon. Like the people will come, the people will be there. They want to have a good time. Like, stop beating yourself up, you know? Right.
My biggest point is that I don't feel that way anymore, period, because I know nobody can do what I do. And so at this point, you could call your podcast the Blackout Tips and I'd be like, okay, people are going to listen for 10 minutes, realize it's not us, and then come back to us because like you can't do. I remember people used to write us in, hey guys, the Breakfast Club played a game very similar to Guess the Race. I'm like, I'm literally not worried. They're not as funny as us when it comes to that segment. Our shit will be funnier. We've been doing it longer. We'll you know, like it's just a matter of like feeling that confidence, and it just took me a while to gain that, but I feel like in a way that's where I'm seeing in you right now, where it's like, yeah, okay, if they mistakenly go to that other show 10-15 minutes before they realize, oh fuck, you know, like this ain't like the Drunk Black History I remember,
right? It's like you walk in a Ruth Chris and you're like, oh, this is nice, then you be like, well, how the hell we get the rise all you can eat? This is what I had expected. Like you're gonna see a difference, you know. People will realize this is something else. Brandon, as somebody who like you just want to work and do the job, and it's really hard just to work and do the job when something happens in public and you don't want to address it in public. You know what I'm saying? Because you've gotten to the point to where people know you and they know your name and they know what you do. So when something happens, you almost quote unquote can't ignore this. It's one of these things, but people better realize with your personality, if you could have ignored it, you would have. I don't know if that makes sense, but it got to the point where you had to address it. And it's one of these things where it hurts you to have to address it in public because you was like, I would rather not talk about this, but you're showing your ass so bad that I have to address this now.
And I think that's what led to the frustration with a lot of like, you know, the comics I haven't mentioned by name, but they're like, I've kind of like distanced myself from, because it was like, you got to talk about this. So like, you know, don't take this, you know, lying down or whatever. But then I have to talk about it. They're like, man, you going real hard on Gordon. Like, he ain't right. He a crazy nigga from Newark. I'm like, what? Like, we can't just discount terrible behavior and being a terrible friend because he's got some issues. You know, like we all got fucking issues. We're comedians, like.
Right.
But that was what's frustrating. It's like the hypocrisy and like, hey, tell your truth and stand up for yourself. But then I would, and they'd be like, why do you have to put out? Like, I put out a social media statement because I was getting messages on Instagram like, oh, I can't wait to see y'all in Brooklyn because they'd be using my likeness on their ads. And I was like, yo, that's not my show. Like Gordon messed up. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be there, and it's not going to be the show that you think it's going to be. And then I released like a statement on like Instagram. I know I'm not that important or whatever, but I'm like, I just got to speak my truth. And then, you know, a friend that, you know, I wish we were closer. Like, I wish this didn't hurt our relationship. I don't want to say who it is. I hinted at it on Three Guys On, but
yeah,
they were like, oh yeah, I was talking to one comedian, and she was like, why did Brandon release a statement? And it's like, well, how else am I supposed to get the word out that what Gordon's doing is fucked up? And he's not telling anybody. He's just going on shows talking about Drunk by Kiss You like it's all good. And so that's why people are getting more confused when I talk to them. They're like, oh, I didn't know.
You just I'm there and I'm not, and that's going to be a problem.
Yeah. So it's just been really frustrating. That's why I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to focus less on booking comedians because there's other Black people out there. I can get radio personalities. I can get experts. I can get doctors, all kinds of people. It doesn't just need to be comedians anymore.
Yeah, nah, man, I totally respect it. And like I said, I think it's good you're talking about it. I think also like another thing was you had to be comfortable with, you know, letting it go in a certain way, because I think earlier in the process you had a lot of hope, like maybe we can get resolved. Cooler heads will prevail, just need to talk it out. Maybe it's a misunderstanding. They just don't understand how egregious this is. And I think especially I've learned over the years of interpersonal conflict and between friends and shit to be able to go like, they're not done processing this yet. Let's just wait and see. Because, you know, early on, I think everyone likes to be hopeful and be like, it'll work out. But like, once I've seen it a few times, I learned to pull back and be like, nah, I should probably just not fuck with that other person until this person, like, unless they start fucking with them again. Then I'm like, okay, y'all really did resolve it. But I remember Keith and the girl had fell out with Patrice. Patrice was a person that we used to do our Game of Thrones recaps with. And so our Game of Thrones recaps, you know, like motherfuckers loved that the first couple of seasons. And the guest was always Patrice.
Yes.
And we had a great fucking time. But then they fell out with her on their side and they were like, but if you guys want to continue being cool with them, I don't mind and stuff. And I'm like, all right, I guess she can come back or whatever. It's cool. And eventually it escalated to over there to where they were like, I remember listening to one episode and they were just like, and if y'all people just want to keep having her on their shows and they don't knowing the kind of shit she's done to our audience and to us, then I mean, I guess they can. And I'm like, that sounds like a shot. And I actually don't care that fucking much. So yeah, we just won't have this person back on. I wish they would have said that from
first.
The beginning. But I don't even think they were there day one. Like it took a while for them to go back and process and analyze like everything that happened to be like, wait, actually this person is fucked up. And I think people have written in from the audience with other stories of like, this was fucked up and that was fucked up. And so I was like, the main thought I had was like, one, wish you knew that I had. But then two, I was like, if this person's doing something fucked up to your audience members, why would I basically put our audience members at risk of the same behaviors? But it takes a while. But now I'm able to like, I was like day one that you were having issues, I was like, all right, so we're team Brandon. And if this shit works out, then you know, like we'll be back to both of them is cool. But I didn't want to just act like, well, fuck it, Brandon said it's cool, and then like later on feel like regret that we were like part of the problem. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. My therapist says that I'm too empathetic because when and I appreciate that when I hear stuff like that, my mind immediately goes to this. How much I fucking don't want my people to get hurt. Is that damn? Gordon doesn't realize how bad this has hurt his rep. That's what I think. I'm like, damn, like this dude who I actually respect, like his comedy, he's fucking up his career because he didn't see the forest for the trees. He just saw a quick cash grab in Boston and didn't think it was going to blow up the way it did.
But you know what, Brandon,
you can't control other people. Like, you know, you can't.
And as an empath, man, if it helps you at all, because it helps me sometimes to think this way. It's up to them, and I'm always here for the growth. So, like, if you look up 2 years from now and he's like, yo, I fucking learned my lesson. I shouldn't have did that shit. I was wilding at that time. I'm totally willing to be like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like that, but it's up to that person. I can't
They have to change.
I can't want the growth more than you do. I can't want you to wake up to some shit more than that. And if you just choose to be that person, the world can see us all now. We're all on social media. We're all operating. We all have platforms. So like people are making their own decisions, and you comfortable with people you like knowing this shit about you, and you just out here walking around not addressing it. Like, I mean, that says something about you. So I definitely feel you, but I think you've done your due diligence. And also just I know that Drunk Black History is gonna still be dope as fuck. When they show up to the official show. Yeah. Like,
and we got the podcast still going every month. It's just been great doing that as well. And there's so many dope stories in our history. Like I got 2 historical stories that I want to put on paper. Like I want to make a feature on because they're just such incredible stories. One is about Thomas Downing, who was the Oyster King. He basically made oysters into fine dining back in like the early like the late 1800s in New York City, and he used his fine dining restaurant. He was one of the first Black men to ever own this kind of establishment, and he used the basement as a stop on Underground Railroad. So all these rich white aristocrats and stuff were secretly funding Underground Railroad operations. So that's one story I want to tell. And the other is about this Wichita Negro Baseball League that played a game against this chapter of the KKK, because the KKK at the time was trying to improve their public image. So like there's just so much like great history there, but also potential for comedy if you play it right. There's just incredible moments in our history that need to be told.
No doubt.
I'm looking forward to it, and I'm excited. And also, one more thing I like to add, I knew that you were always telling the truth, Brandon, because you're like, I'm trying to do my job. When I first heard you, I was like, oh, he don't say anything. So for him to even feel like it's important enough for him to speak on it, something must have happened. Like just on the outside looking in, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
That's the thing about credit.
People believe your word.
That's the thing about credibility, man. You don't really have to use it until you need it, and it's good to have it, like it's good to have it. Like, that's why I'm not always like airing out dirty laundry and shit with people. Like, there's motherfuckers, just like every other human being, there's motherfuckers I don't like and they don't like me, but I don't come on the show and just be blasting people all the time, because I don't want to. I need, when I need it, I want people to understand, like, oh yeah, Rod doesn't just jump out here talking shit about people. So yeah, now we got show stuff to do. Okay, we got segments to get to. Okay. Before we do that, can you just tell them one more time where to get tickets?
That's right. DrunkBlackHistory.com. Come join us on Wednesday, June 19th, both in person and live stream. Live stream tickets will be available this coming week. But at Brooklyn, New York, at Littlefield, 7 p.m. start time. Doors open at 6. We got sponsors Aquiana Rum, Sorrel Liqueur, and Liars Non-Alcoholic Spirits. Gonna have a fun time, lots of giveaways, and lots of history to be told. We got some dope historical people and facts to talk about. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Make sure y'all check it out, man. Now, let's get into some banter. I have some banter to talk about.
Can't wait to for a minute. Can't wait to What you talking about?
I got one.
Shout out to Tevin Campbell.
Shout out to Tevin Campbell. Karen, you have one too. All right. You can go first then.
Oh, mine is just really, really short. Yesterday, I was heading back to the house after getting my car wash, and I was like, you know what? I want a McFlurry. So I went in and got me a McFlurry. And y'all know McDonald's had this thing now where they be like, oh, we changed the spoons on the thing now. So now, when you used to get a McFlurry, they basically had it where the spoon would actually be the mixer. That's why that spoon was designed like that. Yeah. So I went and I ordered it, and before they used to have like sizes.
You went inside?
No. I went through the drive-thru. Okay. They used to have sizes of McFlurries.
Rod's like, be careful, my darling.
Right.
You can't be going inside of McDonald's.
Right.
I'm a straight drive-thru girl. And so, at McDonald's, they have the small, medium, large. They used to have that, but now they just got one flat size. And I was like, okay, I'll take you one flat size. And what I realized is with them changing the spoon, I got to find they changed the ice cream machine. And so the ice cream isn't as hard, which means it melts quicker. And for me, the experience wasn't a McFlurry experience. I don't know. It's like instead of you doing something to fix the fucking machines where they consistently break down, you're like, oh, we'll get brand new machines. Well, we don't. Well, we're there run all the time. But what's the point when I get halfway home and I got a McFlurry McSyrup? It's like, this is not good.
That's what every company is doing that though. They're putting the onus on the customer now. You can pay for a product, but it's going to be up to you whether or not the product works to your liking now, right? It's like, with the automation happening at fast food places, it's like, hey, the order's messed up. That's because you put it in wrong on the computer. And like now it's like, hey, this is the faster way for us to get out these McFlurries, but it's up to you if you don't eat it fast enough and give yourself a brain freeze.
Ryan, it's one of those things. It might just depend on McDonald's I went to, but I was like, I do not like this.
I blame private equity groups. I don't know how, but somehow they did it. I feel like they're buying shit and just taking all the value and fun out of everything. So
they're doing it with studios.
That's the they did it to Red Lobster. They did it to Alamo Draft House. Like Alamo Draft House just closed like some Texas and Minnesota location. I thought
that's wild.
I was like, oh man, maybe people really don't like the elevated theater experience of no distractions. And turns out it's just private equity coming in and fucking shit up like they always do. All right.
Did you read that? Did you read about Flavor Flav bought the whole menu at Red Lobster recently?
As if that was helping. I saw it.
He doesn't know how economics work.
He doesn't understand anything that happened at all.
He's like, but I did it, right?
Right. He's like, so y'all location is straight, right? Because I just got everything on the menu. They're like, no. Also, shout out to Flavor Flav. Didn't know he had everything on the menu at Red Lobster money still. I would have lost that bet. And shout out, I appreciate him for the Cheddar Bay biscuits. I had a weirdly annoying Mercury and retrograde ass day yesterday, a couple of days ago.
I saw your tweet about that,
bruh. Like, so I did my gym thing or my exercise thing. I think I took a walk that day. I came back. I knew I was doing Karen Hunter show from 3 to 6, and then from 7 to whatever we were supposed to do. Our sports show, Balls D Sports, and all this stuff. And so I wasn't gonna cook lunch. I normally cook lunch a few times a week, and I was just like, "Fuck, I'm tired. I'll just buy lunch and Karen will eat Jersey Mike's or something." And so
it don't matter.
I ordered Jersey Mike's, and I'm like, "Oh, I got plenty. I got like 30-40 minutes. I can go grab it, come back, and then I can do the show." I go get in my car. Like driving, and I realize, oh shit, my tire thing is on. It's like, oh, you need to put some air in your tire. Pull over, get some air on the tire, and it's like low, not like you can't drive on it low, but low where I'm like, the fuck, like is a nail in this bitch. Couldn't figure it out, but I put enough air in it where I was like, I don't have time. I just drive to Jersey Mike's and get back home. That's fine. So I do that, start driving to Jersey Mike's again. Fucking engine light comes on. Engine starts sputtering. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And Jersey Mike's is very close to my house.
Up the street.
So I'm like,
he's trying to get a sandwich.
Right. It's like a 5-minute drive.
And I'm thinking like, can I make it? Can I not? But then I'm like, no, what if I fucking like get there and the car didn't start again, or a fucking car breaks down on the road? No, let me just turn around. So I text Karen or call Karen or whatever, like, hey, I'm coming back home. Car's tripping. I don't have enough time to take it anywhere, get it fixed. So I have to do this podcast appearance, this radio appearance. Do you want to go get Jersey Mike's in your car? She's like, yeah. But before she could even get ready to get out the house, I was back home. So I said, fuck it, I'll take your car. Go to drive Karen's car. No gas. There's like the gas is on basically E. I'm like, well, I don't have time to fill it up. Like, it says we have, it's that thing where it's like, you got 40 miles. I'm like, all right, that's close enough. Like, it won't take that long. But at the same time, it's like, you go up a hill, it's like, you got 12 miles.
Yes.
You go down a hill, it's like, oh, you got 40 miles again. I'm like, what the fuck kind of gas is in here?
Yes. I don't know why it does that. It don't make sense.
But whatever. I take her car. I get the gas. I mean, I get the food. I come back. I do the Karen Hunter show. That's cool. Then I try to use Crowdcast to do our like paywall show. That shit don't work. Nobody can fucking see that I'm live. Everyone's like, what? I have to figure out. I'm trying to use Facebook. I'm trying to use fucking YouTube. to broadcast and all this shit because I got to figure out on the fly. Normally Crowdcast works fine. I end up having to pay for Zoom to do like a Zoom meeting. We get started like an hour late, but it's a fun time. We get everything done. And then the next day I'm like, okay, time to get my car looked at. I drive I'm like in the first thing in the morning, take my car to NTB. That's where I normally go. NTB, those used to be my guys. Apparently they got bought by Mavis.
Fuck them.
So none of the motherfuckers
don't do shit.
None of the motherfuckers that work there are still there.
Right.
And the default for the guy who works there, I'm not really sure what kind of guy he is. He's just a little too laid back. You know what I'm saying? We're like, I'm coming to you with a problem. You know what I mean? I would like a little proactive problem solving solutions out here. But he's a little too much default of like, we don't do shit, you know? And so I'm like, how y'all make money if y'all don't do shit? So I come in and I'm like, bro, my car engine light is coming on. I think something's wrong. And also my tire, which I bought from here and have under like lifetime warranty or some shit, it went flat. So I would need y'all to work on it. And it's like the second time that something's happened to that tire. And I know that the warranty I bought was one of those like, we'll give you a new tire warranties. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, y'all need to take care of that. The problem being the records from when I bought that shit are gone because apparently they didn't transfer the
information over.
Now the last time I went, they just did the shit. Like they just fixed it and didn't give a fuck. They took my word for it. But this time they're like, well, what do you think is wrong? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe the plug came loose. He's like, okay, well, I don't know. Also, just, you know, by the by, we don't have a mechanic. Now,
what?
The location management has changed. I understand that. But you still have a fucking garage with all the shit mechanics use in it. It's right there. I'm looking at it. How the fuck you don't have a mechanic, dog? Like, what? I think he thought I was getting an attitude, and maybe I was a little bit, but I'm not a confrontational person. But like, I asked this question genuinely. I wasn't trying to like shade him. I was just like, so what do you do? Right? What do you do? Like, if
it's like going to a Verizon store and be like, I want to buy a phone. They're like, oh, we don't do that here. You gotta buy it online. I'm like, what the? Why are you here then?
What is the point of the brick and mortar location? And so he was like, we do like tires, we do oil changes, we do inspections. And I'm like,
that's not a mechanic.
Right. Like, I'm like, but all that shit is just shit. Don't hire a mechanic too. And get it. Okay, cool. So he's like, you want us to look at the tire? I'm like, no, because I don't know if my car will drive. What's the point of a new tire on a car that won't go nowhere?
Right.
Let me just drive this shit up the street. He's like, well, you could go to Pineville location or you could go to such and such location. I don't think my car will go that far.
Right.
So no.
Like, what are we talking about? And baby, also Brandon, the next day when he went outside, the car was completely flat. So he had to get the AAA person to come out on top of that before he went to the NTB people.
Now, shout out to AAA. I can change a tire. I know people go, oh, men should learn to change it. I know how to change a tire. I paid them to change a tire.
I know that's right.
Hashtag soft life. Okay.
I pay you.
No grease shall touch these hands unless they absolutely have to.
I didn't agree to get a degree for nothing.
And so Buddy came out there and changed my tire for me, and I watched him do it. And he couldn't figure out why I went flat either. He's like, maybe that plug came loose. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know either, bro, but appreciate you or whatever. And so, like I said, I drive to the other mechanics, they up the street that I've used before. It was so funny. It's like these black dudes that work there, and they come out, and I love this about myself. Now, I know a lot of black people don't like what I'm about to describe. I'm not gonna call you bougie. I understand that y'all just have different standards than me, but I love when a black person recognizes I'm cool. And so they come over and they're just like really casual, like they're not like they've code switched to regular default black people talking, which I is a vibe to me. Like, please, I don't give a fuck if we're in a bank. I love when they're just like, nah, brother, let me tell you something. So like the dude comes over, he's like, what's the problem, man? I'll explain. He's like, oh man, that sound like that's one of your cylinders, but let me go get my mechanic, see what he say. Dude comes out, he's like, yeah, turn the car on. And he turned the car on, and he's like, What's it doing? I described. He said, okay. Then he puts his hand on the hood of the car, like he's just feeling it for a second. He's like, okay, yeah, go ahead, open up the hood. They open up the hood. Man, you lucky it's only 4 cylinders, man. I think one of the cylinders is slipping, and you're gonna need to replace it. Now, what I'm saying is, normally they want you to replace all of them, but I'll replace just one if I can figure out which one it is with the code in the machine. Blah blah blah. It's gonna cost you about this much. Da da da. I'm like, cool. Then he like gave me a dap and shit. Like, I was like, all right, bro. Like, appreciate y'all looking out and stuff. He's like, hey, ain't no thing, man. We gotta look out for each other. I said, okay, cool. I go home. They give me the call or whatever.
I think we went up there first time.
No, I go home. They give me the call to let me know it's ready. And they're like, or that they need to do some more work. They're like, actually, and this time it's the white guy on the phone. So, I was very like, okay, the white guy always calls you when they ready to tell you it's a lot of money. Black people call you, it's like, okay, they about to tell me like it was $250. Can I bring them a 6-pack of Coors? And but this white dude calls, he's like, listen,
some Marlboros.
You're gonna want to replace all of your cylinders, because what's gonna happen is if you don't, the one that's new will cause the other ones to work harder. You're gonna need to replace them eventually. Here's the cost difference between placing one or all of them, and it actually wasn't that big of a cost difference. I was like, fuck it, go ahead and do them all. He's like, all right, cool, it'll be ready at blank time. I said, cool, we gonna go up there, we'll see you then. I drive up there,
yeah,
the fucking car is still on the goddamn thing. I'm like, that's not what was promised at all. So I get out the car, go inside. I said, hey man, I got the Nissan, what's up? And he was like, oh yeah, so oh man, I give me 1 second. He goes outside.
That ain't never a good thing.
That's never a good sound.
And I'm not a mechanical nigga at all. So I don't know why they do these parlor tricks to me, because they're basically useless. They're worthless to me. And I'm very pragmatic. The amount of money in my mind I will pay to fix my car is right up to what I think a down payment or a car payment would be for a new car. Right. Some of these car payments are $1,000 now. I don't want that life.
Right.
So if we can keep this old thing working, let's figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So Buddy comes back and he's like, oh man, you see this right here? He's holding up this thing. It's slick with oil and shit. And I'm like,
no idea what that is.
What is it? A flux capacitor? Is it a fucking, you know what I'm saying? Is it unobtainium? Yeah. No, I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't know what it do. He's like, man, this mean this is oil leaking down on your cylinder because the gasket valve cover is cracked and oil is coming out through there and it's causing that one to slip. And that's what the issue is. So you need to fix that too. And I'm like, okay, so how much is that? All right, well, give me a second. He on the computer, just typing away. I don't know what the fuck is up with these computers. I have a computer. I use a computer every day for my job. You would think if it was about invoicing, costing, that to me seemed like a simple computer system of how much does this cost for this kind of car? Click, this much money. Bam. Sir, it's going to be this much money. But they do it's almost like a skit or a game, like another white dude come in. And these are kind of like cool white dudes. Like they kind of give that, since they work with a lot of black people, they hang around a lot of black people. So they kind of like relax.
They feel like they're down.
Yeah. Like they weren't like at other places. Normally the white dude is like, I'm the manager. You know what I'm saying? These dudes felt like one of them was like, man, I'm gonna work on it, but I gotta go get me some tea first. You know, I'll be drinking tea like a mug at work. I'm like, all right. So it's almost like a skit they're doing. And I wanted to express to them, you don't have to do any of this for me. I just need the number of how much it costs so that I can just be prepared for that blow.
Probably working in the
when I come back. Because there is a number you could say where I'm like, I guess it's y'all car now.
Yes.
but there's a bunch of numbers. Right. Yes. A bunch of numbers below that where I'm just like, let's pay it. And so they're doing this thing. And like one of the dudes like basically told the other dude how to hook me up on the call so that it wouldn't like basically run up the cost with like extra labor. He's like, man, don't charge them for no more labor, man. We already gonna be doing this, and then we get told them it was gonna be this much. It's already too much. So if you like, just make it this much. Like I think he said $1,100. Like just make it 1,100 even or something. And he's like, man, I don't know how to put that in the machine. He's like, man, you gotta put the code, man. Hold on, I got to look. So this shit taking like 10 minutes. But to be honest, at this point, I'm a wait. Because if this
that's the truth, I'm a wait.
This motherfucker finna save me, $200, $300. I got all the patience in the world. So they like doing that little sketch, and I'm just sitting up there like, yeah, okay. He's like, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? You look like cool, dude. We just need to figure out how to get this in the machine. I'm like, all right, cool. Who knows? They could have been price gouging the fuck out of me. I don't know shit about cars. So all I do is Google the shit when I get home and be like, oh, I guess that's what it costs. That's it. And so they go through their whole things like it's gonna be this much, but come back at 3 and it should be ready at 3 or whatever. I say, cool. I come back, hop on 3 guys on, head back out there, and it's ready. It works. I still need my tire, whatever. I figure I can take care of that tomorrow. I went to the gym. I was very proud of myself. I did all my workout shit with 1 minute left on the gym clock. I was
sweating.
Oh, I was sweating in that bitch. And it's the toughest gym shit I've been doing. So I was like, I was looking at that clock like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do if some of these sets might not get it in, but I did it. I was like the last motherfucker out the gym. And so, hashtag no excuses and all that shit. But man, I gotta say, that was a crazy, just inconvenient day. It was nothing catastrophic. You know what I'm saying? There's been much worse things that have happened in life. But damn, it felt like everything was going crazy. I just had to bring that up on the show. That was wow. All right, the other banner I have, it's insane that we played the song Party Up by DMX in Polite Company. I don't know why we're doing that. I was watching the WNBA game and it was like a timeout. And that y'all gonna make me lose my mind came on. And I'm like, has no one listened to the words?
Lyrics?
It's so aggressive.
Listen to the lyrics. It is so aggressively angry.
Yeah. Like it's so weird. And people go, well, it's the edited version. Yeah, but how edited is it edited? Think about what he's saying. Within the first 2 lines, if I got to bring it to you, cowards, then it's gonna be quick. All your mans that's been to jail before, suck my dick. That's the right. Yeah. So because they say suck my dick, we're supposed to go, oh, okay. All right, not dirty. Kids can listen to this. And all them other cats you run with get done dumb quick. How the fuck you gonna cross the dog on some bum shit when the gun click 911 shit, all dumb shit? Ain't that some shit? Y'all niggas remind me of the strip club because every time you come around, it's like, what? I just gotta get my dick stuck.
As a kid growing up in the suburb, a black kid growing up in the suburbs, when I would like watch that music video in the morning, I'm like, this is too much. Like,
it's a lot.
It's 6 in the morning, man.
It's a lot, bro. It's so aggressive.
Yes, very aggressive.
And it's seen as a party anthem.
Yes.
Like people have it in commercials to symbolize we're having a good time. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. Suck my dick. Like there's a lot of like men sucking his dick too. Like where's this coming from? Like maybe you went to jail a little too long, DMX, that you're seeing.
Every time he says it's about to get thick, it feels like he's threatening somebody's
yeah. Like it's
bad.
Like it might be him and Mystical is up there.
Is that the DMX song that Ricky Morty used, or did they use another song?
Righteous Gemstones used Party Up.
Okay, you remember when
DMX hologram?
You remember when Rick and Summer and she got bulk at the end, and they kept playing like a DMX song at the end.
I think that might have been it. That might have been it.
Yes,
it's just weird that we have let that happen as a society. Now I know dummies will listen and go, but there are other songs that are fucked up and we listen to those. Okay, well, I'm not saying those are okay either. And also this is a perfect joke, so leave the joke alone.
Oh, it was X gonna give it to you. That's what it was.
Oh,
Thank you.
You're right.
I mean, that's just as aggressive.
Yeah.
X gonna give it to you.
I've been watching the rollout of the new The Boys season, all the press that they're doing. It's really sad that every fucking year they have to do the same. Like, Homelander's not the good guy.
Yeah.
Press run. What the fuck is
hilarious.
wrong with our society?
It's white people.
What is wrong with our society that they every year you gotta do? Like, okay, first 2 years maybe they didn't understand. If you're going into season 4, you still like rooting for Homelander. You're just we don't even need to tell you that that's the wrong thing. You just don't give a fuck.
I can't. I just looked at my embargo. I can't say too much about the new season because I've seen it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's they make fun of those people who are like
Good.
clearly don't get what the fuck's happening and what they're trying to talk about.
Now, what
It's
does it
wild.
say about people and media literacy that no one's mad at the boys for being woke?
Right.
Like, no one's mad that the boys is a woke DEI show. That's what the fuck that show is. It is literally the
All
same
about
shit.
dicks,
Yeah.
like male frontal nudities, equal opportunity, a lot of homoeroticism. You got like all kinds of diversity, like both gender, race, like religious background, everything between boys and Gen V. This is like one of the most diverse fucking casts and like productions you've ever seen.
I'm a big fan of Seth Rogen's like production and the stuff he brings to life. Like, some of the choices he's made, I'm just so impressed by, because it's like stuff that us as nerds would be like, oh man, Preacher, I love that.
I love Preacher.
I love that comic, but like, I also would understand like Hollywood's never gonna take a chance on Preacher, And Seth Rogen and his folks be coming in like, nah, we can make that. That last Ninja Turtles they produced is fucking, that might be the best of the Ninja Turtles. Like the one with the young Ninja Turtles and the
animation.
It was like, he's so fucking good. I'm so impressed with his resume. And also he manages to kind of effortlessly make woke stuff. It just, no one holds him to that standard. And maybe it's just so well done, people don't think of it that way. But I know when I watch it, I'm like, damn, they found, especially as a writer, I'm like, wow, they found a really subtle but good way to nail this point without making it feel like message. You know, like a lot of stuff feels like, you know, like they might as well just break the fourth wall and be like, guys, trans people are people. Like, you know, where you like watching, you're like, it's a little corny, even though I agree with it. This shit doesn't feel like that. I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, they managed to get that point across, and yet it still works within the parameters of the show. It's still funny, all that. So shout out to that. And then I'll save the rest of my banter for other shows in the week so we can get to some other topics.
Okay.
Because there's other stuff to talk about. Puff Daddy is still in the news.
He did be wanting the body, and you gotta tell him no.
Psych.
Puff Daddy has had his honorary degree from Howard revoked.
Oh, they stripped it.
Yes.
He did go to school there. He just didn't graduate, right?
No,
Correct.
he didn't graduate. Did y'all read that Rolling Stone article?
Some of it, yeah.
About how he was beating up the female students out and like on campus. And, like apparently like he was so popular, no one like really talked about it. But he had a bunch of incidents. Yeah.
With a belt in front of people. Like multiple witnesses. So yeah, I don't know, bro. That's such a like crazy thing, because I don't know what to do with the fact that so many people are like, oh, we knew the whole time. And I'm like, I didn't.
I did not either.
Maybe it's because I'm not in New York, but like, I'm like, people be like, oh yeah, he did this, and I'm like, he did a good job of keeping that out of the national spotlight, because locally, it seemed like a lot of people thought he was dirty.
In New York, I would say like it's the unfortunate thing about everything that's transpired is it's not surprising, but he was not the person that everyone was whispering about in like the entertainment industry and stuff. There's always other people that you hear about. Like I was hearing about low key Jay-Z's name popping up before I heard about Diddy and some problematic things. Obviously the Cassie thing was kind of weird, because I'm like, how's this young up and coming artist just out of nowhere just like become just Diddy's partner? That's it. She's not trying to do music anymore. She's not trying to act anymore. Like that just seemed weird. But reading that article, man, it's wild. And then also like his music, like my best friend in Florida, he said that he listened to like More Money, More Problems came on the radio. They cut out his verse. So it goes right from Mace to Biggie, which I'm like, that's got to be a real transition. But they said they cut out Diddy's verse.
And Cassie thing was so interesting watching in real time because I don't know if it's my age or what, but I never grew up in the in the thrall of Puff Daddy. Right. Like I understood, like I'm not taking away from his place in hip hop. I listened to all kinds of Bad Boy records. Like it wasn't like that, but I realized as I got older, especially through Twitter, there were people that really like focus on his personal life.
Right.
Like I didn't know anything about Kim Porter. I didn't know anything about his kids really. Like I just saw him as like a dude that ran Bad Boy and they had a run in hip hop that was just like an amazing run.
Right.
A lot of hits. I knew that his artists felt jerked and that motherfuckers got out of Bad Boy. They basically all went to church after, which made you go, damn. Like I don't know what's up with that dude, but like
they was like, I need Jesus after this.
Motherfuckers right. Motherfuckers was escaping that shit like Scientology. They was like, like I want to say it's like Mace, Craig Mack, I want to say maybe the Black Rob, Shine definitely religious.
Shine, would he put the jail?
Yeah. So I knew that part, but just I always thought the Cassie thing was interesting because I knew people or saw through Twitter, they would argue so hard if someone was to be like, man, it's fucked up. He's got Cassie and he won't even marry her. And they've been together this long. And this niggas be out here gallivanting and look like he's messing with other chicks. And people would be like, mind your business. She is a kept woman. If she wants to, how you know she even wants to get married?
I remember them arguing
and all that stuff. And then the second that she left them and ended up with this other dude, this before any of the rumors were out there or before she. I remember those same people flipping 180 degrees and being like, good, she left him. Ha ha ha. He wanted to get married and she's the one that's married now. And I was like, nothing that y'all said makes me feel like I know what happened because it sounds like we don't know the dynamic between these people and y'all have been projecting one way or another onto them. A lot of it very gender war shit of like, how can I spin this into a win for my side or whatever? Because I knew dudes that were spinning it into like, he never married her. She knew what was how he moving on to the next chick. And at the end of the day, we find out tons of abuse that was happening. We never really seem to know any of that. All of it makes sense in hindsight. Now that you do know, it's like, oh, she was very young. He had her under his control as an artist. Her image was so manicured. We never saw her really talk. You know, the lawsuit, everything just kind of comes into full focus. So it has been interesting watching the change in public perception on him. I saw on Hulu, they already have a documentary from Nightline of like the downfall of Diddy. I watched 10 minutes, I had to turn it off because it was such bullshit, but it was because it just was like, it wasn't like research and new information. It was just like, they would report another news story and then they just cut to like 3 people from Black Twitter being like, you know, Cassie did say in the lawsuit this journalism thing. And I'm like, okay.
I would just, man, if I were like a really twisted producer, I would just have like all like the facts about his abuse and then just cut to really problematic moments from making the band. Be like, he was telling us all along he was a piece of shit.
That's what they should do, man. Like
he was so fucking crazy on that show. Like he literally, it was almost like he was the Black Calvin Candy. If you think about what he did when he had, especially when he was doing the Day 26 stuff, he had all these black men in a house, basically like he's like Dance Monkey. Like he would do shit like that, where he would have them sing battle, and he's just like, "You're gonna send you home. You're gonna be broke and smoking crack again." Like what? He was saying wild shit, and he had Foster Bentley over here dancing with an umbrella. I'm like, what is going? Like we thought it was entertainment, but it's like, oh no, he was a fucking psychopath.
Right, Brandon. And as somebody who, since I've been to New York, I understand y'all distances a little bit better. But at that time, I did not know how far it was to walk to his Cheesecake Factory place that he made them walk to on that show. Now I'm like, God damn, that's far. But you know, as somebody down here who didn't really understand how far, like I was like, oh, they was going to another fucking borough. God damn.
Also, like, you could use clips from Get Him to the Greek.
Yep.
You know, like he's left a trail of things out there. You know, the stuff with J-Lo now in hindsight is even worse. You know, so it's just crazy. Thank God she didn't fall for them back-to-back begging ass songs. Like, we could have been talking about her right now. Who knows?
She didn't fall for the Crip walk-in with Diddy and Genuine and Timbaland's. That was I remember I saw that video, but I don't think this is gonna win her back, bro.
Me neither. When he came out with the remix, I was like, God damn, already? Like, we get it. You need a girl. He's like, I need a girl part 2. J-Lo, please. I'm sorry. Sorry, I killed somebody.
She was like, I know my worth. Nope.
So yeah, he lost his honorary degree from Howard because they figured it was time. They also in their statement said that because people were like, give back the money that he pledged to y'all in this endowment, and they said he's actually never sent them even $1 of that pledge.
I'm not surprised. Yeah. I'm not surprised.
There's no money to give back. I guess I am more surprised celebrities can make a pledge like that before giving any money. I always thought they gave like a down payment or like some good faith, like, here's $100K. I'll promise to give you $1 billion over the next 10 years.
Period of time.
I didn't realize you could just show up, get on a stage, and be like, I'm gonna give y'all $1 billion, and everybody's like, we love Puff Daddy, and then you leaving like, I ain't giving them shit. Fuck them niggas. That's crazy. So they ain't getting nothing. Of course, we all want to hear what Ray J has to say about it. Ray J says that P. Diddy deserves a public whooping for what he did to Cassie. 1,000 lashes.
He didn't say that. Did he say that explicitly?
He was on Club Shay Shay.
Oh no.
He said,
Why? You know you want to do. You know you are purposely going to be about some bullshit if you go on Club Shay Shay these days. like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You want the smoke. You're going to do something to create smoke. That's all it is at this point. That's so stupid.
Well, it just depends. I think Ray J going on there makes a lot of sense because Ray J is probably the preeminent attention is currency in our attention economy guy of more than anybody. So I don't think Ray J gives a fuck about his image and how he looks and if he's being hypocritical or not. Like, he's like, they paying attention, I'm there. And
paying attention.
Like, he's probably the perfect Club Shay Shay type of guest. The only problem is that because he hasn't really ever stood for anything, none of us are gonna take him too serious.
Right.
Like it worked best with obviously Cat Williams, a Monique, somebody like that, because those kind of people seem like they stand for something, and then they're like, I'm throwing all my shit on the table today. Ray J, I feel like if he was on our podcast right now, he'd be saying some shit that's ridiculous.
Oh yeah. He can't help himself. He Ray J is the kind of like dude that is just so impulsive. You see how it can torpedo your career. You know what I mean? Like what he says, just whether it's on reality TV, interviews, and he occasionally has a comedic like viral moment where you're like, okay, that made me laugh or smile. Like when he was on the show where the dude broke the glasses and he's like, I don't care. Like you're just like, I can't. I don't remember what segment that was, but I remember like, okay, that was funny. But then he has moments.
He's hilarious. He's hilarious. He's a great like entertainer. Like
not singing wise, but
even, you know what, entertainer. I didn't say he's great at singing, but like even when he did his verses, it was funnier than it was good.
That's the truth. It was funnier than it was good.
Like this nigga had his baby in one arm. He's fucking doing terrible lines. Like
Brandy was commenting, just like, I told you to rest your voice.
Right. Like it's kind of amazing to watch him do that. But so I do have a quote. I might be able to find a video on Twitter, but I'll just go with the quote for now. He said, the homie need a public whipping. That's the only way it's gonna be right, with a public whipping. He told Shannon Sharp added 1,000 lashes for everybody that's been you slain and hurt. 1,000 lashes publicly. 1,000 that will help. 1,000 lashes made by you, somebody your size that don't give it to him. Not my size. My arm hurts. You size, your size, niggas ain't gonna make it past 9.
Wait
so,
a minute.
Yeah.
He just add all those insane lines with just a song lyric.
Love who you want to love. Live how you want to
live.
He's like, I'll sock that nigga.
I bombed so hard one show years ago. It was a private show I was hired to produce, and I got so nervous. It was all people from NAACP, and I wasn't supposed to say nigga. They were like, one thing, do not have any of the comics, including yourself, say nigga. I was so nervous. I was like, you niggas heard about Ray J and Fabulous?
You start off top.
Oh my god.
NAACP chapter president, his eyes got wide. I was like, oh shit. I can't pivot to Harry Potter stuff now.
Right. Oh,
if they bring Sandman out there and blow your ass off stage.
No, I was the Sandman. I was the producer, so they couldn't get me off stage. I got myself off stage though.
Here's the clip. Let's see how close I was.
What scares me about that is that if there's other guys out there that's doing that or have done that and that are forgiven now, I would say, what do we do with them? How does that work? You know, that's the only thing I'm kind of confused about, because if I'm like, I'm good, but I might run into a couple people and forgot that they might have been in that situation, haven't seen it. That's just fucking unacceptable. I've never ever seen nothing like that in my life. Bare knuckles, like, you know what I'm saying? The homie need a public whipping.
Yeah.
It's the only way it's gonna be right, with a public whipping. Like, you know, the whip.
He could.
Oh, he put the hands up like when Toby got when in Roots, when the slave master made him change his name to Toby, he put his hands up like that. That's the kind of whipping he wants Diddy to get.
Possibly in some serious trouble. Reading that they're possibly convening a grand jury to
100 lashes.
Why he had to mime the?
Cause he Ray J.
This is fucking crazy.
He is Ray J. You gonna get it all.
He took some bad PCP years ago, and it's just never been the same.
It just never recovered.
On the
ever since he put Princess in that pool.
I'm about to say he pushed her down the Mario pipe, and we ain't never seen her again.
For the first.
By the way,
sir.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, wasn't he on Love and Hip Hop LA with Bow Wow, who at the time was accused of abusing Erica Mena? And I'm like, how does he say it? I have never seen anything like that. I'm pretty sure he's seen lots of shit like that.
Maybe they have it on tape.
Puffy, the P. Diddy, is his life as we know it, is it over? Not he's gonna die or anything like that, but I'm saying, will he ever be what he once was?
1,000 lashes. And Cassie, like,
what? That's not the answer. That's not the question he asked. Hey, will his career ever recover? Beat him till you see the white meat. Like, what? Huh? That's not.
At what point did he decide that he was gonna be an unserious question?
I don't know, but yeah, he's like, I'm not serious.
He just decided, like, I'm never gonna be serious. It doesn't matter what's in front of me. Also, Shannon Sharp asking him about this is just ridiculous too, right? Like, yes. It's like, of all the people to ask about this very serious topic, he's like, let me get Ray J on the record. But yeah, just that's today in Diddy, guys. I don't think I have any other Diddy stories. Thank goodness. All right, let's
the way that sounds.
Right. All right, let me play another song so we can get to some other articles. Here we go.
If you talk to the average teenager of today, you ask them what it is of the music that they like, and the first thing they will say is the beat, the beat, the beat, the beat, the beat, the beat.
All right. Netflix show creator slams binge TV releases as Fallout season 1 drops all episodes. So Ben David Grabinski, who made Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, has basically criticized the binge release model, saying that we should go back to just weekly releases for TV series,
like cable, like television used to do. And it's one of those things where, truth be told, I think a lot of people seen what Disney was doing with The Mandalorian and some of these other shows, where some things they would release all together, then some things they release weekly, and then people talked about them weekly. And the thing is, people complain about that, but you can always wait to binge. You know what I mean? When it's finished, you can like people act like when you do that, you don't have the option to binge. You have the option to binge. You just have to wait.
What I find interesting is that when Netflix first started selling us the idea of streaming, the thing that was the hook was no commercials.
Yes.
Drop it all at once. Watch at your leisure. And it was like the game changer that we all were like, oh yeah, I would like that. I'd like to not have to wait 24 weeks with holidays and shit in between sometimes to watch a season of Lost. If I could just watch a season of Lost in like a week at my own play, like my own start and finish pace, I would love that. And it feels like maybe we're now realizing the cost of that, and that it hurts the artist because there's not enough of a chance for the audience to build community and conversation.
It's not.
It hurts the artist also because with these streaming models and the way that the money works and stuff is, with no commercials and stuff, people aren't necessarily getting the same value from like we just had to negotiate to get the streaming residuals, but before that we weren't. Like, you'd much rather get something on network TV if it was because you knew at least you were gonna get your money. And
are they quicker to cancel the seasons too when they do that? Because all streaming services act like if the shit don't come out like gangbusters, then just fuck it, just don't renew it. Well, dog,
I'll say this about the cancellation of anything, having been through that, it's always subjective, and there's the reasoning they give you is a backwards reasoning. Someone somewhere decided they weren't going to renew it, and they can find the numbers to justify not renewing anything, and they can find the numbers to justify renewing something.
True.
There's all kinds of people that get their shows renewed that have very niche audiences, that have high production costs, and there's so many shows that don't have the impact numbers wise that you think they do, but because someone somewhere said, no, we're fucking making every season of and this isn't knock on the show, I love the show, but like someone somewhere said we're making every season of Atlanta until Donna Glover doesn't want to do it.
Yes.
And then there's other times where they like look at Issa Rae and Insecure, and they're like, you gotta wrap this up next season. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's you go look at the numbers and you're like, well, wasn't rap shit doing pretty good numbers? We decided those numbers weren't good enough.
Yeah, and it depends if there's changes in executive levels, all kinds of things that factor in. Like you said, subjective. It's all like the temperament of the person. One exec who greenlit the series, it's successful, or like it does this thing. 2 seasons in, there's a change, and then the new exec's like, I don't get this show, cancel it. It's like, but it's doing pretty good. It's critically acclaimed. Yeah, I don't care. Like, that's they'll find another home. We won't.
Like, I was watching some of that documentary, Movie Pass, Movie Crash.
It's a great documentary.
Yeah, I gotta finish it, but shit was so subjective. Like, one AMC dude that ran AMC was so on board. The Latino dude that started, he's like, oh yeah, we can make this fucking work. He didn't seem to matter that the brothers was black that ran it or nothing. He was just like, yeah, let's get this money together. This is a great idea. He leaves, another guy comes in, he's just like, fuck that shit. We'll start our own. We'll start AMC Stubs. We'll fuck Movie Pass.
Yep.
And just like that, their fucking careers are thrown in limbo because one dude decides. When we were at HBO with Game Theory, we're under basically the imprint of Adam McKay. Adam McKay does like Succession and all this. Like
Winning Time.
He's Winning Time. He's like big time over there. But I start looking at the writing on the wall, and I'm like, they're saying they might not renew Winning Time. Succession's in this last season. We might not get renewed. And it's not a numbers thing. Like, more people might be watching season 2 than season 1. It's not a ratings thing, really. You know, we're doing a very specific niche show. So like putting us on before John Oliver means nothing, because people that come to watch John Oliver, it's not the same show. If you put us before after Bill Maher, it's still not the same show.
Right.
You know, maybe if you put us close to Bob Costas' show or like Real Sports, maybe, but that's still a big maybe, because they're not making comedy.
Right.
Like we had a very specific show no one had ever really done before, right? And great reviews, executives loved it, and then just boom.
The merger, and they was like,
someone else, Discovery bought this shit. Exactly. We're cutting every show that we see is like superfluous. Even some of their mainstream shows, they're like, come wrap this shit up.
Yeah, this Lady Sketch Show, they won all types of awards. They was like, you got to go.
And so I don't take it personal, but my point being, I don't think it's about whatever's getting shows renewed or not renewed. It's not whether it's binged or streaming or the ratings. It's literally arbitrary. And because streaming services don't have to publicly disclose their information, or they didn't have to before the strike, they'll tell you what they want you to know.
Right.
So they can be like, it didn't retain its such and such. And like, okay, so that's why it's not getting renewed. Yep. Well, did Stranger Things retain its such and such? We're not putting that info out. So like, so that you can never be like, but this other show that is popular and get renewed, it didn't retain its numbers and you still brought it back. You can never really make the argument, because they only tell you what they want to know. Even the same thing when they want to tell you something successful. It's not verified data, it's what they're telling us. And they just can come out and be like, this is the number 2 most popular show from this time to this time. And it doesn't matter that y'all all thought this movie was trash. Everyone watched it. So we're going to use that to justify making a sequel.
But going back to your initial, like, the topic about, like, the release schedule, whether binge works or like going week by week, I do think a lot of shows are going to start going week by week, because like the success of Shogun, I think Amazon definitely will change it for Fallout, because that's how you keep the conversation going about something. Because it's very rare for you to get another like a Stranger Things where the whole season comes out at once. Now they don't even have the whole season come out. It's like now split into 2 or 3 parts and shit, right? And I think that makes it harder for newer shows to really break out and keep that longevity. You know what I mean?
Audiences are starting to conflate binge drops with you don't believe in the show.
Yes.
And that is giving good shows some bad publicity. So Echo was
Streaming
a lot
in general did that.
Which one was it?
Streaming in general did that. That's streaming. Disney Plus diluted the quality, like the perceived quality of Pixar movies, because releasing one Pixar movie on Disney Plus because of the pandemic, understandable. They released 3. And so the audience got conditioned where they're like, I don't need to go to the theater for Lightyear. Like, it's going to be on Disney Plus soon.
And I think when you drop a season as binge, 5 years ago, it was seen as this is dope. You know, like I remember when the Marvel shows on Netflix would drop 13 episodes, I would be so fucking excited, and everyone would try to watch them at the same time. Now that there's so many streaming services, so much IP has been bought. So many people are trying to build like these like individual reps for like, Paramount Plus has this, but but Disney Plus has this, but also whatever this service has a different one. And so it's starting to like be too much to keep up with, because before it could be appointment viewing. If all of us knew we all have Netflix, Jessica Jones dropped, for the next week or 2, we're just talking Jessica Jones. Now, if I said that shit, like what's everyone discussing? Is it Shogun? Is it The Acolyte? Is it
all over the board?
Right? And we're not able to keep up with all of it. So we're not having a community shared conversation that would hype up and elevate the art to a point where it's getting awards and stuff. And I don't want to say that it's as simple as if they binge drop it, they don't believe in it, because I actually think that's too simple of a view.
I do too.
Because Hulu they dropped The Bear as a binge. They clearly know that's the fucking shit. And they could probably milk it with a week-to-week thing if they wanted to. But they've decided, like, no, we're just going to drop this shit like a ton of bricks on everyone's heads. It will win all the fucking awards, even in comedy, even though it's not one. And we're just gonna keep doing that model. So it works for certain shows, but I'm kind of with Brandon on like I think the weekly release, especially for a creator, is more beneficial because I want to see the conversation.
Yep.
It gives people a chance to do promotion work, meaning,
and you can actually build your audience,
right?
too.
And also meaning like say Decider or what, like Hollywood Reporter, they can go episode 1 recap, boom, episode 2 recap next week, boom, and it starts building. And so if I get on episode 3, guess what I'm gonna do? Go back and read, oh, what did they think about episode 1? Oh, what did this podcast think about House of Dragons episode 3? Oh, they did a podcast for episode 2. Let me go check. It gives people time to catch up, as opposed to just like if House of the Dragon dropped every episode at the same time, I wouldn't be recapping that shit. It's too much work. So
yeah,
I think that stuff matters.
I do think though we will get to a place where the perception of, I think a lot more shows will start getting released on a weekly cadence versus all at once. But the ones that continue to get released all at once, that then audiences will start saying, maybe I'll get to that when like you said, right? Like I'll get to that when I get to it, because it's probably not as good at this shit that's getting released on a weekly basis. That's how I feel about Marvel stuff. Every Marvel thing gets thrown out at once, except for X-Men. They're like, this is too good to not release on a weekly cadence. We got to do that.
Well, actually, Marvel's weirder than that, because Secret Invasion was released weekly.
And it was terrible.
And I was like, y'all could have dropped this shit at once.
Yes.
That shit was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And
why is it so bad? Like, what happened?
It was so bad.
We didn't need it.
I don't know what the fuck happened. It was so bad. It pissed me off. I'm not one of these angry Marvel people.
Me either.
I still love Marvel stuff to this day. I'm always looking forward to the next thing. But when I tell you Secret Invasion was such a fumble.
Yeah, they didn't care.
It was just like, who wrote this?
They killed main characters. They allude that Rhodes was a Skrull this whole time. You're like, wait, what?
And then they go to the Marvels.
Sorry, spoiler, everybody.
They go to the Marvels, and the Marvels basically acts like Secret Invasion never happened.
He's silly as fuck on that.
What happened to the cohesion? It used to be a plan at Marvel where it's like, if this thing happens, pay attention, because it's gonna matter later on, and you'll be glad you watched this shit. Because when you see a movie later, you'll be like, oh, that's Kamala Khan from Miss Marvel. And so like, and I know now we're at a point where all the Marvel shit isn't for everybody. I think that's what the hardest thing for people to realize that aren't like comic book people that grew up with the comic books is like, oh, we're not, this is the closest we're going to get to comic books right now. Is you can watch She-Hulk, and She-Hulk's a totally different vibe from Miss Marvel, which is a totally different vibe from Hawkeye, which is a totally different vibe from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So like, when I was a kid, with limited money, I would be like, oh, I'm an X-Men guy, but that meant I wasn't reading Captain America because I ain't got unlimited money.
Yeah.
And I think what happened is, with this being a singular cultural experience, everyone thinks they're in for everything. And I was ready from this from day one. Like when I saw Iron Man, I'm like, okay, I see the vision, but we're gonna get to a point where this is just comic books and everyone's gonna tap out. Because that no one has the time to keep up with all that shit except super duper nerds like me, who are like, oh nah, remember the War for Elseworlds? And everybody's like, no one remembers that bullshit. And this X-Men thing, when I watch X-Men 97, I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna do Zero Tolerance. And everyone I know is like, the fuck is Zero Tolerance? I'm like, oh, that's right, super fucking weirdo nerd.
I am one of them.
They made this for me, but I understood at the time that meant not for everyone, right? So now everyone's coming to this realization, this shit ain't for everybody. You can love Miss Marvel. That doesn't mean shit about Secret Invasion. That means you may hate Secret Invasion. And I think what really hurt them was the reception of Secret Invasion was so harsh. And then that one nigga that was trying to take over from inside was really, really manipulating the press to like shit on everything Marvel was doing. So you had Secret Invasions. Then you had the Marvels which caught a lot of shit, I think unnecessarily,
which
but
actually good because everybody said it was good.
Yeah, Ant-Man before that, which I think that was genuine flack. Like it was it was not good.
Yeah, if it's that, and then like compounded with the Jonathan Major stuff, and then people forget about this. The dude that played Namor also got caught up with some shit, but I think because it's international, they were kind of able to like push that away a little bit.
Right.
So it's like back-to-back accusations, and then the quality just wasn't there. You heard rumblings about, Blade has been all over the place in regards to the story. Like
they were working the hell out of the
virtual
CGI
effects.
scene.
Yeah, the virtual effects.
And if you like follow it enough, like if you're like a movie nerd like we are, you hear that they actually thought Ant-Man 3 was going to be good. Like I read that Marvel book about like the whole making of the studio and everything like that. They thought Ant-Man 3 was going to like continue like their winning streak.
Yeah.
Like, yo, people are gonna love it. And then when people did not like it, they were like, oh, is our radar off now? Are we like not connect like know what the audience needs?
And for me, that makes sense because we're in comic book territory now. Like we went from movie territory to comic book territory now. And one of the knocks on Marvel that I think is unfair, but it's kind of showing up and it's hurting them a little bit. But I think it's funny because it's what people said they wanted. I think they are letting directors do what they want to do and put their imprint on films in a way that people thought they wanted, but it's becoming clear you actually don't like that these genres are so separate now, right? So like Miss Marvel is a teen show. That's not a show for really adults.
No.
That's a teen coming of age.
That's a lot of adults. It's like, the fuck is this? And they tapped out.
Right. She-Hulk's a straight up fourth wall breaking comedy.
Yeah, that was
like that. Yeah, like it went super crazy in the last couple of episodes, which I personally love because it meant someone there got to go to Kevin Feige and go, I got a fucking crazy idea. Like just a Brandon Collins level crazy idea. And he didn't just shoot it down and go, no, motherfucker, go make the shit that we always make. Like they kind of deconstructed what those series are, right? Multiverse of Madness, the Doctor Strange movie.
I love that one.
I love that movie. It feels like a Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah, a horror. Yeah.
Like Scarlet Witch basically turned into a fucking supernatural villain in that movie. And I was there for every second of her being the most scariest motherfucker, like scarier than Thanos to me, the way she was just on their ass. Like I love that shit because it felt different than the other movies.
And it's what they claim they wanted.
But I think it's hurting them because it doesn't feel cohesive anymore. Which I'm willing to deal with because I kind of like that X-Men 97 doesn't feel like What If. It feels like something totally different.
Right.
But we'll see because there's, this is now that we're now in the down part of this cycle. So I don't think they're gonna. Everyone keeps thinking they're gonna like reach back up to Endgame. It's never coming back.
No, and I think that's where I listened to a podcast earlier this weekend where DC really has a great opportunity to do their own thing, and it might actually put them where Marvel used to be because they can have a coherent world over here with James Gunn's Superman, but then they got Joker still, they got the Batman Robert Pattinson still, and those are all separate things that they can just like let them thrive and do their own thing. My biggest issue with all that with DC is that it's all white dudes that get to do that. Whereas Marvel, they are aiming to be more inclusive, or so they used to be, because that Fantastic Forecast, as much as I'm excited about it, it's all white people. And I think Marvel, I really like, you can't do this. You can't go back in time. Endgame literally was the perfect place to stop. Yeah. Just give it some years to breathe and then do X-Men or something like that once they got the rights. Like, I think trying to continue after Endgame when they were able to bring do you understand the logistics of bringing that kind of a cast together and you've only had to replace 2 actors in the whole goddamn thing? That is insane.
I personally think, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm about to say, and my thing, and I guess my pushback to that is they're in it for money. So why would they stop making money? Like that's kind of my kind of pushback. And I do understand that they should have slowed down. I'm with you on that part, but I think a lot of people who were into this were movie goers. So they go, when is the end of the movie? And it's like, no, this is comic books. It goes on and on and on. And so you were going to have a point where people were going to tap out, and it was just eventually going to be the hardcore people there.
Also, I don't think Endgame would have been like maybe the artistic way to end it. But I think what happened after Endgame is we just stopped counting their wins as wins, and we only count the losses. Because if you go through this chronological order after Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home was the shit.
It was $1 billion movie.
That movie was amazing. Far From Home, everyone loved Far From Home. The fucking nostalgia juice of bringing back like Tobey Maguire and shit was like,
oh, No Way Home you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm sorry.
Far From Home was right after Endgame, but then No Way Home was the one that like blew that like brought movies back and shit.
Far From Home was great too, though.
Yes, it was very
good.
And
that was right after Endgame. That shit hit. Shang-Chi was good. I don't know that enough people saw it or not, but that's another good movie. Asian representation.
And a lot of this was during the pandemic.
Yeah, but hell of a story. Like they also told a hell of a story with Shang-Chi.
Yes, they did.
That really went back and redeemed some of the shit they did with the 10 Rings. So like that shit was dope. Eternals no one likes. But then Spider-Man No Way Home, everyone thought it was a perfect movie. Doctor Strange is divisive, but I love it, so I'm counting it. Thor: Love and Thunder was mid. I think Taika Waititi clearly was tapped out and wanted to leave.
Yes,
and I'm like, bro, just then leave.
Because you're not taking your job seriously.
Don't take the franchise down with you on your way out. I know you want to mess with Tessa Thompson, but you can do that without making a movie. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, I think is just a victim of being like Chadwick Boseman dog.
They had a lot.
Yeah, nothing they can do about that. I love the story. I love the direction, all that stuff. But if Chadwick Boseman hadn't died, I'm sure the story would be different.
Yes. The original story was going to be exactly what I wanted the MCU to address, which was what's it like to come back after losing 5 years from the snap. Because none of them really talk about that, except for what Monica in WandaVision. Like they didn't really explore that. He was going to have to like figure out, how do I make up time with my son?
Yes. I wanted to see that so bad. Yeah. And it's just, that's not their fault. Like, and of course, like the big issue of recasting or not recasting just totally derailed the discussion on just what should have been like anticipation for a film. So you got like people forming camps before the movie comes out. It's just, that sucked. Ant-Man and Wasp was trash. The Quantumania, I just thought, I know some people like it. I'm not trying to be like a dick, but I really just thought that was a bad movie.
DJ Ben Amin and I and Tati, we saw like advanced screening at Quantumania like a week or two before it came out, and we were both on the same train going home. And we both just looked at each other for about 10 seconds and didn't say nothing, just like,
yeah, bro.
Like, what happened? Like, what was that?
I was not feeling it. So much green screen.
Yeah, too much.
And that's how you use William Harper Jackson?
Right.
Like people are talking about him being Reed Richards, and I'm like, that would be dope. And then he's this random dude who can read thoughts. I'm like,
and the best part of the movie to me is probably Kang, but then Kang gets his ass whooped.
By some hands controlled by Michael Douglas, who like is just playing like he's like in a fucking Chuck E. Cheese with these different I'm like, what is going on? He's an Oscar winner. Like,
I feel like like you almost have to end that movie with him winning. If you really want to make him the big threat. Like, but now every time he's shown up on screen, I've watched him get defeated by somebody, and not even like the A team of people defeat him. It's like Ant-Man, Loki. Like this nigga's catching L's left and right. And then then it was Guardians 3, which I thought was a great movie. I thought that was
great,
legitimately a great movie. Emotional.
That made me tear up. Actually, that was wild.
Bro, I was crying to fucking raccoon, and also the brother that played the High Evolutionary
acting his ass off.
He was one of the best villains they've ever had, and his acting was.
Did you see him on what was it? Peacemaker.
Yes.
James Gunn said like he like had such a great time working with that actor, because the actor goes away after like I think episode 3.
Yeah,
he's like, I had such a great time working with this actor. That's why he got that role, because he's like, I gotta have you in this. And I think they could bring him back. Like he's in prison, space prison somewhere. Like he could come back.
He's an amazing villain.
Yes, he was holding a rag doll that was CGI of a cartoon and had me in fucking tears. I was like, oh, Rocket.
This is why I will never shit on the Marvel, the MCU, as far as like when people go, oh yeah, actors make those movies because they will, those aren't real movies. I'm like, nah, bro. do you understand the amount of acting it takes to be in that costume, talking to a tennis ball like it's a fucking like it's a 3 foot tall rodent, and making me cry? That motherfucker was acting.
That's why the first of these Disney CGI remakes, The Jungle Book, blew me away, because I'm like, the kid that played Mowgli, he literally was just working against tennis balls, and he was great. And it was like that was incredible. The Lion King's remake, I had a lot of problems with, but the Jungle Book one like fucking blew my mind.
And seeing and this is what I've been seeing lately that I love, and I've been waiting on this the whole time, and it's finally here. Finally, these fucking actors are defending their work, because the MCU hate went too far.
Right.
And so now you got like RDJ showing up, and RDJ was like the first one to really like do it, because it was starting to turn to this trend where whenever they're promoting another project, someone would ask these actors who were obviously ready to move on. They've been doing MCU characters 10 years, but then they'd like make it an indictment on the MCU. They'd be like, Scarlett Johansson, would you ever be Black Widow again? It's like, nigga, the character's dead. Of course I can't be. But you know, but she's not gonna say that. So she's just like, well, you know, now I'm trying to do more serious work, and everybody's like, Scarlett Johansson says this isn't serious work or whatever, right? And RDJ, much to make a sports analogy, much like Tim Duncan for the Spurs, meaning if Tim Duncan takes it serious and lets himself be coached, there's no player on the Spurs who can ever be like, I'm gonna act a fool, because Tim Duncan never would, and he's the leader, right? RDJ comes back and he's like, MCU was some of the best fucking acting I've ever done.
Yes, he should have won an Oscar for that role.
He's like, I don't know what the fuck Scorsese and these niggas talking about.
Right, that nigga snapped his fingers and I cried.
He's like, but I killed that shit, and I would come back. Like, if they find a way to get me back, and I want him to be Riri's AI.
Me too.
If they find a way to get me back, I'd fucking do it, because it's like it's my favorite role. It's that's the most like me. Blah blah blah. And all of a sudden, Chris Hemsworth is saying it. You know what I'm saying? Like, all these people are now coming out the woodwork like, yeah, man, it's fucking hard, and I love that, and I can't wait to do that character again. Finally, the earth is starting to heal, because this shit was getting a little out of control. And that's why I have to say, even this DCU shit, I'm not convinced. They're gonna have to show me.
Yes, because so many bad
as things. Much as they're like, James Gunn has a vision and shit. James Gunn just recently said they're gonna still make the Black Superman movie, and maybe Michael B. Jordan will be in it or whatever. And I'm like, well, will he count as Superman? Is he just gonna be some Elseworld shit? And like, I thought you were building a comprehensive vision, because that stuff is a bit confusing to the lay person that shows up and they're like, so Robert Pattinson's Batman is in your universe, and you're like, no, that's a different that's a different one. Okay, so is this Superman? Black Superman, is he gonna show up? Oh no, that's a different thing. It's like, well, bro, what are you making over there?
Right.
That is gonna be cohesive, because that's what the MCU had over everybody, was all this shit counts. And DCU is not ready to let go of that shit, except for Batgirl, and you know, like,
we never seen
shit they want to write off for profit. Then they'll throw that out the window, but they were not gonna throw these other things out.
One quick thing, though, to everything counts, Rod, that I think comic book movies in general should stop doing, and this includes those god-awful Sony movies, stop putting tags at the end of the movies now. I know it's a comic book trope, and it was successful for a long time, but in recent MCU movies, there's nothing's going to happen with those. You think about starting at the Eternals, the Kit Harington, Blade teaser, that's not happening now. You got the Council of Kings, they're recasting it, so now that's kind of negated. You got the Charlize Theron Doctor Strange tag at the end. Is that going to come back? Like, there's no talk about Doctor Strange. You know, so it's like they set up all these things, and now it's like, well, if they don't come to pass, it's kind of like, oh, well, that didn't mean anything.
The big one to me is still that fucking celestial hand coming out of the earth at the end of Eternal.
Yes, which so everybody crazy. Act like don't exist.
That was the start of it for me, where I was like, wait, is that going to be a thing, or are we just pretending that didn't happen? And I don't know, 2 years later, no one's acknowledged it, you know?
Well, it's just also like, I mean, if you start thinking about that, like, then it goes down, you go down a rabbit hole with like so many things that like the Avengers and people should have came through for, like the fact that Spider-Man was going through what he went through in No Way Home, and Doctor Strange wasn't like, let me call up a few homies like to help this kid out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, like we got like
as a comic book fan, that stuff doesn't bother me, because it's just part of what, you know, it's built in at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not against the tags and shit. It's kind of funny when they don't happen. Like Eternals has become a running joke now of like every movie that doesn't address it. I'm like, so we just not gonna talk about the hand hanging out the earth.
Yeah. But y'all know,
didn't Harry Styles pop up as Thanos' brother or some shit?
Yeah. Like, but like I said, I'm. This is the low key. This is the part I'm in for. Like just in life, this is where I wanted us to get to the ridiculous shit. I don't.
Oh yeah.
The stuff that the grounded Earth stuff of Avengers is beautiful, it's great, and everyone can appreciate it. But nah, I'm into the celestial bullshit. I want Silver Surfer showing up.
Silver Surfer would be fun.
Yeah, I want the weirdo like cosmic stories that are. You know, I love the Marvels for that. It's so weird. You know, I like Multiverse of Madness. It was so fucking weird. I'm tired of the vanilla, like, we just got a white guy that everyone likes and he's gonna save the earth again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the Sony model over there.
Yeah.
Of course.
And Sony, of course, fucked everything up with their shitty movies. But
they're insane over there.
They're just trying to confuse us. Did you see when I'm convinced that they only moved Craven to make us forget they made Madam Web.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm 100% sure that movie is done. It's in the can.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone said, wait a minute, Madam Web, that's not a real Marvel movie. And they went, okay, yeah. So listen, neither here nor there. We're just gonna move Craven like 6 months.
Yeah.
Sorry, Carrie.
I'm about to say, and for those people who think it's all the same, I'm gonna tell you this: when y'all see those movies, even in the commercials, look for the in association with Marvel in big ass letters.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of every real Marvel movie, it's a flip picture book, and it flips and it shows you the characters and it says Marvel, and they changed that shit because they started mimicking them. If you like, I don't know, if you see something that says in association with, you are not included in the Marvel universe. And like I said, I know people go, it's the same, bitch, it's not. You know, just like y'all argue about basketball and Katie Clark, that's how I feel about this. Don't come out here with your bullshit and you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah. And I feel bad, you know, I don't feel bad because they made money, but I've said this on Medium Popcorn. I think a lot of the actors that are in the Sony, Marvel, whatever the fuck this is, I think the reps told them that they were told in some way it's going to be connected to the Robert Downey Jr. universe. Yeah. And they're like, we haven't figured it out yet, but you will be incorporated in that if these movies are successful. And because everyone kind of mentions it in their like press run, it's like, oh, I can't wait to work with. Like Tyrese got the brunt of it, but I'm like, I felt bad because I'm like, clearly someone told him that. He's not just going to make that up. Like he was probably told like, oh, if Morbius is good, they'll incorporate Spider-Man somehow. Because I think they were going to try to get Andrew Garfield to come back and be Spider-Man in some capacity. But
my homie Ba, who does the What You Been Watching podcast, I talked to him about it. He says basically he thinks Sony's just holding MCU IP hostage, trying to make Marvel just go spend however many billions of dollars to go buy Spider-Man and shit.
Buy the whole catalog. Yeah,
because they're like, why else do you keep putting out shitty movies? Because you know there is a alternative that Sony could do. Make good movies.
Yes,
they did it with Spider-Verse, but that's Lord Miller. That's not really Amy Pascal.
Like, they don't have to make these movies be shitty. Like I saw Madam Web and was like, there was at no point did anyone mistake this for a good movie.
They got the writers from Morbius. They knew what they were getting.
Right. Morbius is another one. Just at no point did anyone 10 minutes into filming go, we got a hit. They all went, we know what we're doing, right, guys? We're just ripping nerds off.
Yeah, we're doing this so it won't revert back to them. We got to put something out. Yeah, I guess we got to put something out.
I do like seeing the meltdown, though, of these Sony, and I'm sure Aaron Taylor Johnson, when he's promoting Craven, will have his own meltdown. The meltdown that Dakota Fanning and Jared Leto went through promoting those movies is hilarious, though, because Jared Leto, like, Morbius was like the first character I didn't even have to like work like prep for. I was just like, I'm the smart.
That's not good. You didn't have to prep.
Yeah, and Dakota Johnson's just like, I don't really know what happened. I don't know who I am. I don't know what this movie is. And you're like, what?
And then Sony's coming out from the studio being like, it's because she doesn't have any star power. That's why the movie failed. And she's like, the executives have no visions and everything they do is just for profit. And Sydney Sweeney's somewhere just like, I did this movie so I can do another movie.
Exactly.
This is not, like, I don't even give a fuck if y'all hate this movie. Like, it's so sad what's happening. But yeah, it's, oh man, I love movie nerding out with y'all. We got one last thing I want to cover, which is Anthony Mackie did an interview of Tyler James Williams, where they were talking about from Abbott Elementary.
No. Words Anthony Mackie interview are never good. There's never lead to anything positive.
How is he? His popularity and is so unlikely. You know what I mean?
It is very odd that he got started at 8 Mile and he's where he's at now. I did not see that kind of trajectory for him.
And he's had so many moments in interviews where you're like, we would cancel a different guy. And I'm not saying this because we love and like him so much. There's something about him where we just don't take him serious. Because I still remember when he did the Make Daddy a Sandwich thing.
Make Daddy a sandwich. Why don't you make Daddy a sandwich?
On Oprah, which is one of the most like sexist, weird things to me. And I was like, Anthony Mackie, what are you trying? Are you trying to torpedo your career? There's the other respectability one where he's like, people need to cut their hair, put their pants up. Like he's just a weird dude, but
that's right. He played Tupac, didn't he?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. He played Tupac. He's had a really interesting career. Like he's done some, and I think that's maybe why people are like, well, you can't completely cancel the guy. He was in this movie or he's in that thing. Like, you know,
I'm just gonna flat out say I don't know why, but I like him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Didn't you like his show we did with the clowns and the cars?
Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal, yeah.
It's amazing. It's not good. It's amazing because it's not. It's like they wrote something for Ryan Reynolds. They couldn't get Ryan Reynolds, and then Anthony Mackie said, "How hard can it be? I'll do it." And then he tries to do his best Ryan Reynolds impression, and it's not a good impression. But God damn it, if I didn't watch every last fucking episode.
Listen, on paper, the Falcon is a really lame character. And he infused so much personality and chemistry with Chris Evans and the chemistry with the dude who played Bucky. Like when he and Bucky were going back and forth in Civil War, I'm like, they're going to get their own thing together. I don't know if it's going to be a movie or whatever, but like when they said Falcon Winter Soldier as a TV show, I'm like, that makes perfect sense. Like
he did enough to bring that character to life to make it real to me.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the most sincere way because I think Sam Wilson, the character or whatever, is kind of like a cornball and not my kind of guy. You know, he's a very like, I still would stand for the stars and stripes type of nigga. But at the same time, like, I know black people like that. So it's not so foreign to me, the idea of like a black person who's a patriot in a way of that white people don't necessarily understand, where it's like, y'all aren't going to drive me out of my country.
Right.
And these stars and stripes stand just as much for me as they do you. And like the way they work that into the plot, I loved it. I loved the discussion of it. I don't feel like you need to agree with the main character for it to be good. That's a very Twitter mindset.
Right.
I just need the character to feel real, and he feels real. He experiences racism. He understands the double standard. He understands the double consciousness of being black in this country. He understands patriotism, symbolism, all that stuff. And at the same time, he doesn't know everything. He's getting tricked by the bad guys at times, getting played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character. Like, and I can't wait to watch the movie that he does. I really enjoyed that series, but as a person, he's just a weird amalgamation of like funny moments, and he just keeps trucking through. So here's him talking to Tyler James Williams.
Congratulations on everything.
Thank you, brother.
Same. It's really amazing to see. Like, because you've been doing this for a long time. You know, you've done it in a really interesting way that a lot of actors have not been able to. I feel like, you know, when looking at your career, there's a certain thing of like a certain form of dignity that came with it, because you're not the dude out here doing what certain people do.
Yeah.
You know, it's something to say when you get a job and that job becomes a career.
Right.
You know, so kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's I never wanted to be a nostalgia artist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was always about like going down the road and seeing what was next. But again, I can say the same thing for you.
No, but you was a weird looking kid.
Yeah, I mean,
when they cut to that photo. Why they cut to that photo, Variety? You ain't shit. You ain't shit for that.
He's a kid.
And Mackie ain't shit for calling him a weird looking kid.
Yeah.
Anthony Mackie, who kind of look weird to this day. Like every still shot of Anthony Mackie looks like he just told, like he's laughing at an inappropriate joke and trying to hold it in. Every picture of Anthony Mackie looks that way. And he's got the nerve to call somebody weird looking. He's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
and you grew up to be like a good looking dude.
I want to say we were all weird looking kids. I haven't seen, mine was just documented. I haven't seen your photo.
Exactly. And you would never see it.
Exactly. Mine was just documented, extensively.
Daily.
But yeah, to be able to go from there to here has been like, it's been.
Shout out to him for knowing how to bounce that ball.
He
and
put
just make
that back on.
for the weird to look at him like, what you trying to say about me?
Right.
He got Papa Dot again.
Bro's like, we all look weird as kids.
Anthony Mackie calling somebody weird looking is so funny, man. Like, look at this. This is just like one of his headshots. He always looked like this.
Yep.
He call somebody weird. He got some nerve, bro.
That
man,
hilarious.
All right, I'm gonna end it there just because in the interest of time, and we always can hang out with Brandon forever.
Of course, man. I'm always rocking with y'all.
Yeah, man. Tell everybody one more time about Drunk Black History, man.
Yes, Drunk Black History is a show where I have guests on. We get drunk and we talk about historical Black figures or events that haven't gotten their mainstream due. We laugh, we learn, we drink together. It's Wednesday, June 19th. Celebrating Juneteenth, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live stream tickets will be available within the next few days at drunkblackhistory.com, but you can get tickets for in person, where we're going to be celebrated with the help of sponsors by Aquiana Rum, Liars Non-Alcoholic Spirits, and Sorrel Liqueur. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, drunkblackhistory.com for tickets, and y'all can just follow me at Frodo_Blackens for all other shows and things I got going on.
Make sure y'all support the homie, man. Him and Tatiana over there doing great work. Check out the podcast. Check out Medium Popcorn. I know we talked about movies a lot today. So if you love this conversation, they're over there talking about movies and TV and stuff all the time. I'm a Patreon member. So make sure y'all support. And until next time, we'll be back throughout the week. Until then, I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah. Bye, everybody. Bye, Brandon. You have a good rest of the day.